Hey, wait. You don't need to rush me, I'm not going anywhere. Because, if we don't hurry, Charlotte will get suspicious. In the dead of night on our wedding day, as I woke up in bed, I saw John getting ready to go out. Following him, I was shocked to encounter him and his lover in the midst of an affair. I could never forgive him for cheating on me with that person behind my back. Swearing revenge, I enlisted the help of a collaborator to execute a daring plan on our wedding day. Just watch. I'll show those who underestimated me a real hell. With that thought, I decided to play a remix song at the wedding. My name is Charlotte. I'm a 35-year-old songwriter and composer. Charlotte, I've been thinking about competing with this new song. What do you think? Should I focus more on this part of the tune? It's not bad, but if you want to bring out the best in Marilyn, this other way would definitely make better use of her voice. If that's the sound you want, I can change the melody and work on it a bit. Really? You're amazing, Charlotte. You're such a reliable partner. Then, let's go with this sound for that part. She is Marilyn. My best friend and a valuable work colleague. Marilyn is a singer who has been in the industry for 10 years since her major debut. I have been working on her songs, almost exclusively. We're not affiliated with any agency, we built everything from scratch together and have come this far hand in hand. She's more than a lover to me, an irreplaceable presence. We know everything about each other's private lives, from love advice to personal troubles, I've shared it all with her. By the way, it's coming up soon, right? Your wedding, Charlotte. You're going to be stunning. I can't wait to see you in your glory. Well, yeah. Hopefully, everything goes smoothly. Marilyn looked puzzled by my terse reply. Despite the joy of having a wedding, my heart was not at peace. The reason was my husband, John. John and I were high school classmates. The only difference is that I went to a different high school from Marilyn, and I met John during that time. I was part of the light music activity, playing the keyboard at the event. John was moved seeing me perform. I used to take piano lessons when I was a kid, but I never found it fun. But seeing you play, I was drawn in. I've never seen anyone enjoy music like that. That's why I became interested in you. Despite the fact that most people tend to focus on guitar, bass, or vocals and hardly notice me. John kept his eyes on me the whole time I was playing. I remember feeling quite surprised when he first approached me. However, after hearing why he did, I began to take an interest in him too. John was not good at asserting himself but was considerate of others. He seemed to be the type to immerse himself in reading and studying, listening more than talking. Such a good listener, John. I was happy that he shared his thoughts so vividly with me, and I gradually started to fall for him. Before I knew it, we started dating. After graduation, we decided to live together, promising to get married once we saved enough money. However, even after many years, John never brought up the topic of our marriage. When I broached the subject, he would chuckle and say unbelievable things. Do we really need to do? Being together like this is fine, isn't it? I'm busy with work right now, so I don't want to bother with all the paperwork. It's a hassle with all the procedures, so how about we stay as we are, in a de facto marriage? I couldn't believe my ears. What do you mean? You were the one who said you wanted to get married once we had enough savings. And now you're telling me to stay as your common-law wife? That's fraud. No, it's not fraud. When I looked into marriage, I realized how complicated it gets, like changing names and others. But we are engaged. And everyone around us recognizes us as a couple planning to marry. There's no need to rush, right? We do have some money. But I think it's better to save a bit more before we go through with it. In other words, he's not keen on getting married. He's coming up with plausible excuses to keep things vague indefinitely. If he can get away with it, he'd prefer to keep things as they are. He hasn't thought about me at all, just evading the issue with lazy excuses. The moment I understood his intentions, my distrust in him surged. Yet, aside from not being legally married, I had no other complaints about him. However, being in a common-law marriage has its own set of disadvantages. When I pressed John about this, he seemed to only think about the conveniences and admitted he wasn't fully aware of the implications. That makes sense why you'd feel insecure, Charlotte. But I need you to wait for now. The company is short-staffed. And it's difficult to take time off for those procedures, he said, and so the discussion about formalizing our marriage remained unresolved. I didn't have major issues with his personality, but his tendency to procrastinate was undeniable. It's not that he lacks the intention to formalize our marriage, but a lingering sense of unease remains within me. That's when I found myself attending John's company barbecue. It was a family-friendly event, and many people were there. Of course, I was invited and took the day off to join. Being a department head, John was busy greeting various people. I enjoyed chatting with the other wives, finding solace in the brief holiday. Wow. You're the one who writes and composes for the famous Marilyn. No way. I'm a huge fan of hers. I've been following her since her debut, and I've been encouraged by your songs so many times. Many attendees were fans of Marilyn, around the same age group, and I was thrilled to receive compliments on my work and Marilyn's. Suddenly, a woman I didn't know joined our circle and addressed me. Nice to meet you. Are you John's wife? Her name was Amelia Thomas. She's the president's daughter of John's company, and I knew her by name. However, that was only because John had mentioned her. We had never met before. I wondered why she recognized me. Nice to meet you, Ms. Thomas. My husband is always grateful for your support. But it would be rude to question such a thing upon first meeting. I quickly composed myself and greeted her, to which she responded with a meaningful smile. Oh, please, call me Amelia. John is always so helpful, and I thought it'd be nice to greet his wife too. Sorry for barging in like this. Why, I wondered. Without knowing much about Amelia from the first meeting, I felt an air of scheming about her. Beneath her friendly smile seemed to swirl something murky, giving me an eerie feeling. You're John's common-law wife, right? Not planning on formalizing your marriage? Amelia's blunt inquiry startled everyone around, their eyes widening. Although everyone must have had their suspicions, they chose to remain silent out of respect. But she boldly treaded on personal matters without hesitation. Her approach irked me, erasing the smile from my face. Right now, we're both busy with work, so we're just waiting for the right moment to formalize our marriage. But being in a common-law marriage is no different from being officially married. So, it's all okay. But there are many disadvantages to being a common-law wife, right? Like issues with inheritance or not being eligible for certain deductions. Is John opposed to dealing with that? It'd be more reassuring for you if you were legally married sooner. Amelia bluntly voiced the anxieties and grievances I had about John. The more I listened to her, the more uncomfortable I felt. Why should I endure such insensitive remarks from a stranger? It was baffling that someone I just met would dare to touch on such a delicate subject. Filled with anger, dissatisfaction, and anxiety, I looked down. Noticing my discomfort, others kindly offered to go get drinks with me, sparing me further interaction with Amelia. Amelia expressed her dissatisfaction with, I still wanted to talk, but the others, being considerate, intervened. Thanks to that, I had no further contact with her. I wondered why Amelia approached me at that time. The reason would become clear later on. After that, things were peaceful. Work was going smoothly without any hitches. I thought nothing else would go wrong. That was until a certain incident occurred. Has this person been obsessing over you all this time? Marilyn and I had started a blog for promotional activities. Although I usually don't appear in the limelight, due to numerous requests from fans, I also featured in our blog alongside Marilyn. While the majority supported this, some disliked my appearance. One such person was someone with the account name John. Because it sounds the same as John, it just catches our eyes, doesn't it? Don't just laugh it off. We've reported this to the management, but they keep creating new accounts to slander us. It's becoming too persistent. Maybe we should consider taking legal action, like a disclosure request. Other fans are starting to worry too. Yeah, I'll think about it. I gave a reluctant reply to Marilyn's words. The reason I couldn't immediately agree with her was due to the emails that had been arriving at my personal account daily. You're an eyesore. How long do you plan to act like a celebrity? You're nothing but an ugly nobody who can't do anything alone. Just quit the industry already. It'd be better for your partner too. You're thinking of making a disclosure request? If you take any action, we'll expose your weaknesses to the world. Just be ready for that if you want to proceed. The account Marilyn mentioned had been contacting me long before I started appearing on the blog. I knew if I told Marilyn, she would act immediately. But I couldn't stop thinking about this person named John. The idea that someone whose name is similar to my husband's name was slandering me seemed too coincidental. I just couldn't shake off this feeling. This harassment had been going on for over 6 months. Suddenly, John brought up the topic of formalizing our marriage. "Hey, Charlotte. Don't you think it's about time we made it official?" I was taken aback by the unexpected suggestion. As I let out a scream-like gasp of surprise, John chuckled amusingly. "Are you really that surprised? I've been saying it for a while now. Once we've saved up enough and our jobs have settled down, we'd get married officially." "Yeah, I know, but why so suddenly?" "Sudden? It's been almost a year since we talked about it last." "It's not sudden at all, if anything, it's overdue." Indeed, that was true, but until now, he had been the one dragging his feet. And now, out of the blue, he wants to get married officially. What's gotten into him? It's only natural to be suspicious. I'm thinking we could have the wedding in November since December is busy for everyone. What do you think, Charlotte? Can you arrange it with your work? I can do that, but then it's settled. Let's go check out some venues next time. And we need to formally greet your parents again, don't we? My mind couldn't keep up with the conversation that had quickly taken shape. Doubts about him still lingered in my mind. Despite my anxieties, the prospect of finally getting married was indeed a joyful one for me. I had been waiting for this for years. Yet, I didn't like the lingering unease, so I decided to hatch a plan. Preparations for the wedding proceeded smoothly afterward. The day before, we gathered with our families, including Marilyn. "Is it really okay for me to be here?" "It's just a family gathering, and I'm intruding." "What are you talking about? You are like a daughter to us." "That's right. Charlotte's success in doing what she loves is all thanks to you, Marilyn. It's a joyous occasion, so let's celebrate together." I've wanted to catch up for a while. My parents were both quite spirited individuals. Especially my father, who had the boldness you might expect from a pirate captain, and he was also strong in his drink. His manly vigor, both a voracious eater and drinker, was what made my mother fall for him and eventually win him over. My mother, for her part, was a woman of strong mettle. There was a time when a burglar almost broke into our house, but he was quickly apprehended by my mother. She even dealt with him using a toy sword, which I used to use when I was small, thoroughly beating him down, I heard. Hearing such stories about my parents always made my face twitch. They were indeed a formidable couple. They both doted on Marilyn immensely, treating her as if she were their own daughter. Today, with John's relatives also in attendance, they insisted on introducing her around, so she was being taken from group to group. "Your parents are as lively as ever, Charlotte." John seems to struggle with authoritative figures, and it looks like my parents are no exception. Observing Marilyn being overwhelmed, John couldn't help but force a strained smile as he hid behind me, seemingly intimidated. Contrarily, my in-laws seem to have a favorable impression of my parents, happily indulging in drinks whenever Marilyn and they exchange greetings. Despite my in-laws being amiable and easygoing, I wonder why their son lacks so much backbone. Finding it peculiar, I resigned myself to looking after John. As the evening progressed and everyone started to disperse, my parents, John's parents, and Marilyn were set to stay at our place, and I showed them to the guest room. After getting ready for bed, I was asleep in my bedroom when I heard noises in the house. The sounds seemed to be coming from near the entrance. Awoken by the noise, I curiously and cautiously made my way towards the entrance. There, I encountered John attempting to leave the house. "What are you doing out this late?" "Oh. Just heading to the convenience store. I'm a bit peckish. Why not eat some of the gifts we have in the fridge? I really want this new ice cream." "I'll be right back, Charlotte, you go ahead and sleep." Ignoring my words, John quickly left the house as if fleeing. Feeling something suspicious about his behavior, I messaged Marilyn, who was in the guest room. "Something's off about John. I want to check it out, come with me." Marilyn appeared from the guest room shortly after receiving my message. After explaining the situation, she agreed, and we quickly put on our coats to follow him. Who would walk 3 miles to a convenience store in the middle of the night? Yet, there he goes, walking to the convenience store. If the research is correct, then surely he's about to. The moment I said that, John, who was walking ahead, started to act suspiciously. He looked around, as if checking to see if someone was following him. Marilyn and I quickly hid and held our breaths. Convinced he was unobserved, he disappeared into a public restroom in the park. Rushing to follow, we soon began to hear voices of John and a woman conversing inside. Let's go around to the back of the restroom and listen in. Following Marilyn's lead to the back, we witnessed a shocking turn of events. Hey, wait. You don't have to rush, I won't run away. But I have to hurry, or Charlotte will get suspicious. Haha. That wife of yours won't notice. She didn't even realize when I approached her at the barbecue, right? To our astonishment, John was having a secret meeting with Amelia. Peeking through a small window of the communal restroom, we saw John and her entangled together. Amelia's sweet moans and John's primal desire for her were chilling to witness. Facing this gruesome scene, both Marilyn and I turned pale. Unbelievable. Having learned the truth, Marilyn trembled with rage, and I, with determination, took out my phone. The restroom window was always slightly ajar for ventilation. This made it easy to film the inside without the two noticing. Oblivious to being recorded, they continued their passionate encounter, like beasts in heat. Feeling nauseous yet determined, I filmed until their deed was done, and then Marilyn and I hurried home. We were up all night, preparing for a certain plan. And on the morning of the wedding day, despite the heavy drinking, my parents showed no signs of a hangover as we headed to the venue. There, of course, were John's boss, President Thomas, and Amelia. They were invited because I had made a point of talking to them at the barbecue. Perhaps too dumb to notice from yesterday included today's invitation. For now, they can think of me as foolish. Because I'm about to show them a real hell. As I pondered this, the time to make our entrance finally arrived. John was smiling happily beside me, but I managed the situation with a forced smile. However, the moment the entrance music started, John's smile vanished, and his face went pale. What the hell is this? Incredibly, the music that was supposed to play during our entrance had been replaced with the inappropriate conversation between John and Amelia from the previous day, and their disgraceful voices were now exposed to everyone in the venue. Confused and panicking, John didn't understand what was happening. While I watched, Amelia also became frantic, and Mr. Thomas glared at them both with a stern look. Hey, someone stop this. What the hell is going on? Oh, there's no need to stop it. This is simply showcasing evidence of your secret meeting with her last night, I said as I took the microphone from the host and began to disclose everything to the guests who had gathered. I deeply apologize for reporting this under these circumstances to all of you who have gathered here today. I, Charlotte, will not formalize my marriage with John. The venue was abuzz with the sudden announcement. Meanwhile, the inappropriate voices of the two continued as background music, leaving all the guests in confusion. Explain what this means. You guys stop this audio. Do you think this is acceptable? Amelia, panicked and glared at by Mr. Thomas, showed her true nature as she charged at me with bloodshot eyes. Marilyn stood in front of me to protect me, smirking provocatively at Amelia. Why are you in such a hurry? Is it because you're the voice in this audio? What? Amelia was shocked, as if she couldn't believe Marilyn knew about it. Marilyn and Amelia had no connection, and there was no way Marilyn could know her. Yet, why? Amelia seemed to ask with her expression, to which Marilyn smirked wickedly. Then, she appealed to everyone to pay attention to the screen behind me. Ladies and gentlemen, you must be very curious about who the individuals in this exchange are. Today, we have a fantastic act to show you. Please watch attentively. At Marilyn's signal, the venue staff started playing a video on the screen. It was footage capturing the entire incident from the previous day, leaving all the guests speechless. John's parents covered their mouths in shock, their faces pale. Mr. Thomas watched in silence, and my parents observed the video just like him. Stop it, please, stop it. What is this? Explain what's going on. It's you who should be explaining. Despite the affair being exposed, Amelia continued to show a defiant attitude, to which I shouted angrily. At my voice, Amelia flinched as if startled. Ignoring the bewildered John and Amelia, I explained everything from the beginning to everyone present. Let me explain what's happening. Amelia here is the daughter of a company executive where John works, and they've been having an affair. This video was filmed last night, showing they were meeting secretly. John and Amelia were shocked to realize their actions had been discovered. The guests were appalled by the horrifying details I shared, all of them looking at the two as if they couldn't believe it. Their relationship has been going on for almost 2 years. I've been waiting for John to formalize our marriage, and suddenly, 6 months ago, he brought up the topic. In fact, Charlotte was receiving terrible harassment on her blog at that time. The account name was John. We thought her husband might be behind it. But it turned out differently. I hired a detective and contacted a lawyer to investigate everything from the account to John. And I learned a shocking truth. It was revealed that it wasn't my husband but someone else. This person sent me harassing messages in a very masculine tone, trying to tear apart my marriage. Upon investigation, it was discovered that the person using the name John to harass me wasn't my husband but Amelia. Standing right there. What? Amelia's face showed panic as everything was revealed. John, too, seemed unaware of the confession and was lost for words. By the way, we have proof. Additionally, we discovered a diary-like record on this account's social media, detailing the interactions between Amelia and John. The screen displayed documents gathered by the detective. From the diary mentioning me to slanderous comments and information obtained through disclosure requests. All the evidence was laid bare. There was no escaping it. Amelia, completely cornered, turned pale, her earlier boldness completely gone. I've been receiving harassing emails like this daily from this account. It all started around the time I attended John's workplace barbecue. There, she approached me, asking intrusively why we weren't married yet, embarrassing me in front of everyone. I recounted, glaring at them with indignation, the anger from that time surging within me. And when I found this blog, I realized her approaching me in public was deliberate. The blog detailed the day she approached me, revealing her feelings at the time. It was written that she envied me being with John and had deliberately made contact to harass me. She had intentionally acted to drive a wedge between John and me, aiming for a divorce. Upon learning the truth, the guests looked at the two with disdain, while my mother-in-law sobbed miserably out of shame. My father-in-law, enraged, hung his head and clenched his fists, trembling with anger. This is why I'm canceling our official marriage here. This isn't some kind of illegal filming. What you're doing is a crime. This is outrageous. Why didn't you talk to us before taking such drastic measures? There was no need to bring this up in front of everyone. Their nonsensical rebuttals left the guests, and Marilyn, utterly flabbergasted. In the midst of this, my anger erupted, and I lashed out at them with harsh words. Why are you acting like you're the victims here? Do you even comprehend the gravity of your actions? That's, well, how could you even think of marrying me after such vile acts? Just looking at your face now disgusts me. Can you understand how repulsive it feels to be wearing this dress because of you? Who would have thought that the reason I'd be wearing my dream wedding dress was for such a debacle? John could never understand the depth of this pain. Every time I see this dress, I'll be reminded of today's events, living with the betrayal you've caused. Can you even fathom the extent of this pain? It was the first time I had ever yelled at John. Realizing the gravity of the situation, he was at a loss for words, speechless. With them reeling, I turned my gaze to Mr. Thomas, delivering one final blow. Don't think this is over. Do you understand why I attempted to have a ceremony with someone I had no intention of formalizing marriage with? Faced with my pointed question, both John and Amelia were silent, unable to come up with an answer. To them, I delivered the final blow. It was to corner the two of you socially. At that moment, Mr. Thomas, who had been silent, stood up and approached the stage. Excuse my sudden intrusion. I am Amelia's father and the president of the company where John works. In fact, I had been informed about this situation in advance by Charlotte. Dad. Amelia's voice was filled with shock as she heard the truth for the first time. Mr. Thomas, nearly roaring, reprimanded her. To think how you'd respond in this situation. Not only have you disgraced me, but you've also had the audacity to antagonize Charlotte. You bring shame upon us. For such behavior, I've decided to impose my own punishment on you. As Mr. Thomas spoke, the entrance to the venue opened, and a man walked in from outside. Let me introduce him. This is Amelia's husband, our company's vice president, Mr. Brown. What? She was married. And he's vice president. Unbelievable. It turned out Amelia was already married, and further investigation revealed she had 2 children. Mr. Brown glared at Amelia with a cold, emotionless gaze, while Mr. Thomas looked at her as if she were nothing more than an insect. Today, I am using this opportunity to announce that John will be dismissed from our company, and I will impose a strict punishment on my daughter. We have no need for individuals who bring shame to our company. This can't be happening. The 2 were visibly shaken by the sudden declaration. John panicked, while Amelia, in turmoil, clung to Mr. Thomas. Wait, please. Dad, I'm sorry. I'll cut ties with John, and I won't ever do anything like this again. Please. Amelia, in a disgraceful display, clung to Mr. Thomas's feet, tears streaming down her face. John, along with her, desperately pleaded for forgiveness, but Mr. Thomas had no sympathy for them. Instead, he berated the 2 of them with a barrage of angry shouts. Apologizing to me won't solve anything. Do you even know who you should be apologizing to? I don't care about scum like you. Figure out what you should do on your own. Impossible. Faced with the harsh words from Mr. Thomas, John felt utterly helpless. Contrary to John's despair, Amelia refused to give up. Fearing the loss of her status, she desperately apologized to Mr. Brown. However, Mr. Brown, just like Mr. Thomas, did not entertain her pleas. Left with no recourse, Amelia glared at me, her frustration evident as she clenched her teeth and apologized. Please, I beg you, forgive me. I will have nothing to do with John ever again. I apologize for everything that has happened. So please. Convince my parents. What kind of nonsense are you spouting? Huh? Unmoved by her desperate apologies, I responded without changing my expression. Amelia, who thought an apology would suffice, was taken aback by the unexpected reply. She hesitantly looked up, trying to gauge my reaction. After all you've done, you think you can be forgiven just like that? I'm planning to cut ties with John, and frankly, I couldn't care less about what you do or who you involve. Demanding compensation would be pointless if President Thomas and the others were to cover for her. The reason why I embarrassed the 2 in front of their parents is to ensure to prevent anyone from siding with John or Amelia. I'm going to show you both a living hell. It's only fair to face the consequences of your actions, right? So brace yourselves. This is far from over. With that, I succeeded in my revenge against John and the others. Naturally, the wedding was cancelled, and the expenses were charged to John. As word of this spread online by guests, John and Amelia's identities were quickly revealed, and they faced public ridicule. Amelia, feeling as if the whole world was against her, was driven to a mental breaking point and is now living a life of medical treatment. After being fired from his job, John is now living a day-to-day existence. Kicked out of her home, Amelia turned to John, who was already drowning in debt, and ignored her, leaving her lost and homeless. Rumor has it, she's now living at the bottom of society, trying to fit in with the homeless. Witnessing their hellish life brought great joy to me and Marilyn. Once it was known that Amelia was the one harassing me on my blog, she became a pariah even among my fans. Ostracized by everyone she knew, she lost her place in the world. Since then, Marilyn and I have reclaimed a peaceful life. My career is advancing smoothly, and my blog is extremely popular. Marilyn and I have launched a fashion brand, making us instantly famous. We are even hailed as the ultimate dynamic duo. How about we write a song about ditching a cheating ex for our next single? Something that would appeal to high school girls, to women in their 20s? Exactly. We can't miss this opportunity. If they know you wrote and composed it, even non-fans will take notice. Inspired by Marilyn's ability to turn even this situation into energy, I began to write and compose music following her advice. The song was a hit. Unexpectedly, it was even adapted into foreign languages, gaining global recognition. Let's continue to be strong women who never lose to the likes of them. Her laughter as she said those words was a balm to my soul.